can use or just more supplies?
Can I ask you something? After that night in Farewell, what happened? I mean, how did you get out?
Well, Sarah, let me explain this to you. Alright, let me come over here to this file set over here. I know the witch doing the chemistry, you were the last one they had before they had any drifters like that you had to argue Schizo or any of the other guys with Iron Mike and all that other fun stuff with that. But it gets to the point here, I did a brief about Huckleberry Finn and all this somewhere here, but specifically you got to keep in mind some of the context. I mean, if they just jump into that line, they're going to get absolutely reduced to ashes. Let's see if we can get it up here. Ah, yes. I was getting into Mississippi being the poorest state about what it does, and I'm usually in there with Kennedy and the rest of them. I think Hallie's over there. I forget which one's which here, but you know, it's hard to keep it up on that, so I keep this baseline down about something like this that come up. Now, in sense, what I'm doing is I'm going to do blackface with this thing. I'm saying I have to on what it is because of the context of this storyline doesn't reference Nigger Jim. Right. From Mark Twain's timeline, I should be able to walk on the tea leaves about explaining a word that I cannot get past in terms of what cultural reference was kind of irrelevant the way they presented it inside here while presenting it to new kids. Now, us adults, we don't necessarily, we learned it from school, we knew that that was the term. It was a bit risque because the fringe on the idea, it was as much that satire to the conversation at the times about what you're doing to define what that is. So now that Jim and Huckleberry are trying to find this relationship with each other about a younger guy and one of these older guys that's probably in the same thing, even though Huck might have come from a more privileged family or something else that happens inside of there, how do you describe that economy? I mean, true, you're going to have to figure out something, either have the time or you're going to have other problems on what that is. So if I'm going to sign up to his camp, I must understand that I will have my own gravity as far as that anger causing a problem with what comes in here. But naturally, the brain is going to kick. For most of us in a situation like that, just at the camp, again, you know, we're not really registering. I'm sitting through a story, or at least a summation of that story, and I have to reference whatever that issue is, that 33 number correlates to, that my brain starts doing something in a field charge where normal kids that are on this line won't do because there's a difference in the two stories. Registering that helps me cut down on what to expect or why I get a different result than that natural kid, you know, taking the summary of Huckleberry Finn and applying it to certain situations by having some polymorphism to it as far as, well, the Monty Poly, anthropomorphism, theology, that goes into something like that. Means that I could be some rich, privileged Canadian dude, but I might need to reference that issue even though I'm not part of those cultural references. You know, they're both white Englishmen here robbing each other as far as what technical trades you need to know about those going IP like that in an open forum like a design like this, right? Because then you're saying, well, Iger, even though it's not a fun game like this, I'm still trying to derive some score inside of here. Well, I'd have to go the other way with it. I'm digging. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, just IMA having a good time. Something way worse because it doesn't necessarily correlate any one leadership by that standpoint. Out of a group of them, though, they're going to decide why somebody's the tallywhacker, why somebody's the medic, why somebody's those other standpoints. And until that curve changes, well, then it's just not my time. They're Dragon Ball. I'm going to have to let Vegito beat Superman into the ground like Hulk did that one time until that becomes that tipping point. But Dragon Ball's not about to take Superman and do that. They have Goku. Be a little weird, to be perfectly frank, about these. Some people play that game, you know. I know I need to learn a lot of new skills and come out with those things, but realistically, 100 pixel game is this chat bot, trading bot. You know, I'm saying instead of programming it this way, I'm programming it to something that is IVR passive portfolio earnings. This will build money because I'm training people how to do this game, as long as I'm charging them a fractal ether right off front, because what I expect to be probability is a great brief. You know, that was a lot of just staying with the tone, how the brain works on something like that, with a sweet young lady explaining that concept to me. I can't argue with that 17 minutes of computer science in that way. That's how that goes. And, you know, for a little while, or until, you know, that becomes the issue later, you know, most time, now that I understand those 3 balls or 2 pair over there at training day, I need that ABCs. These are the steps. If A is the master play, alpha, I want to be the alpha. If I don't catch that, and nobody else could, if alpha or lowercase a, then beta. And that right there is its own little triple body thing. But second order gets me to causal natures that say nothing was predicted here, times between events weren't correct, x, and those would be the number of points that I describe what this is in any of those sequences. See, the name, the exact point, as I'm breaking it down alphabetically, only needs 26 characters unless I'm going to apply some numerological or combinations to that. fx, wave x, f equals wave function x wave function, x equals f wave function. You know, there's a lot of ways that deals around. So good luck. You know, that's somebody getting in here, you know, trying to tell Mr. Wolf over there with Pulp Fiction that it was okay, and, you know, now you're going to still pay for those sheets, right? Because I had to deal with all this dirty stuff inside of here and realistically get into it. You know, those environments are not safe. You know, if you can't hold your breath for 1:30 from when this brief starts, where am I going to class you? What is... Well, catch you on the next one.